one of the wildest stats to me that I couldn't believe the next day when I was looking at it, and I'm like, okay, there's got to be a stats correction because I was looking at ESPN app and then I had to go check someplace else. 30 minutes and 30 minutes on time possession.
Exactly 30 minutes. Not 30:01.
Not 1 second one way or the other. Like, how the hell did we pull this off? I don't think I've ever seen that in a game.
45, 40, 35, 30. He's gonna go. It's time, people. Feel us.
Big Red Junkies.
Day by day. Day by day. He gets better and better. He gets better and better. Team is If we die, we die.
Man, woman, and child in that. Put him in the aisle.
Bring that trophy back to Lincoln.
Welcome into another episode of the Big Red Junkies. I am BJ. This is Jed, and this is Matt. We are excited you are here. Today we are going to recap the UCLA game. Obviously, we're headed into a bye week. So we're going to talk a little potential quarterback controversy and Heisman race. Kind of wild. Kind of wild.
It's going to be maybe a short conversation.
Kind of wild.
I do have some numbers on it though. So
I do want to get through the UCLA recap real quick because I do think that was a really good game for us to have played. Obviously, there's always things that people can nitpick, but at the end of the day, we got a good win with a backup quarterback on the road.
Yep.
2 time zones away. After some potential travel mishaps, there was a lot of stuff going on that week that was out of some people's control, and I'm glad it all worked out and went well. And we came home with a W. And
first time we've had 3 road wins since 2014. First time we've had 4 one-score wins in a season since 2013.
Holy cow.
First time we've ever had a running back go for 100-plus rushing and 100-plus receiving in the same game ever.
Yeah. There were a few people after the game, I heard on multiple recap shows that are like the live shows that late after the game, talking about how they thought Corey Ross had one back in the day, but he only got to like 75 yards receiving.
I would have thought like Marlon Lucky had one because he had that one season where he had 75 catches as a running back. I was like, he had to have fallen into one, but apparently not, so...
Yeah, I don't know. It was a damn impressive day for a lot of people, I thought.
Offensive line.
I mean,
downfield blocking for wide receivers.
Downfield blocking, midfield blocking, at the line of scrimmage blocking.
Just blocking. This is a well-blocked game.
I watched it earlier today for like the 3rd time or whatever, and literally the last time I watched it, all I did was watch the wide receiver block.
Yeah.
That's it.
On that 60-yard catch and run by Emmett, Isaiah Hunter blocked 3 different dudes.
Yeah,
he blocked initially. He went and got another dude, and then he laid a dude out at the end of the run.
I think that guy might like hitting people more than he likes catching a football.
Got to also give Dane Key credit because he had a lot of really good ones.
All around.
But yes,
all around.
Yes.
Isn't it insane to think about how when Dana got here last year, all we could talk about was the fact that none of our wide receivers could block for shit. Mm-hmm. And now you've got Rhule standing at the podium talking about how he's got NFL scouts making comments about how we've got a better blocking receiving core than half the teams in the NFL.
Yep. That's because they want the ball and you won't give them the ball otherwise.
Yeah. It's I thought just in general, it was an all-around impressive game. Imaliava had a great game on his own, and that's simply because he's a freak athlete.
Yeah.
That dude spun out of more situations that you see. Like, you don't see Josh Allen get out of some of that type of stuff.
Super shifty.
Yeah, he's slippery.
Well, and like there were 2 different times where he was damn near wrapped up in the backfield and somehow turned into a 10 to 15-yard game. It was shocking to me, and I'm not even going to call that bad defense or bad tackling. That we should have had another probably 3 sacks in that game. If it wasn't just for like how incredible an athlete that guy was.
Pro Football Focus has us at 9 missed tackles for the UCLA game.
And
probably all on him.
All of them had to be on him. If they weren't all on him, it was at least 8 of those.
Of course, they didn't hardly have anybody else touch the ball.
No.
So, I mean, he threw it a little bit, but outside of that, he was their offense.
That's why I was shocked to see our coverage grade be so low because I felt like they played really well in coverage.
Well, that's the problem when you have to cover somebody for 12 seconds.
That's true too.
You're going to break down a little bit.
That's true too. But I thought from both lines in the trenches, that was our best and most complete game.
Absolutely.
Well, and again, just based on the pressures allowed on Pro Football Focus, Nebraska's offensive line or offense as a whole only allowed one pressure the entire game.
I mean,
fantastic.
they probably only had like 4 opportunities
Yeah.
to try and get one anyway, because do you think that maybe there was a little focus on get the ball out immediately?
One read or go, and then go if it's not open. Yeah.
And or because they did have a few designed rollouts.
Yeah.
That's the only time where he held the ball longer.
Yeah. Which you're not going to get a pressure there.
It's fantastic.
But that goal line snag, first of all, was an amazing catch by Ja'Cory Barney to hold on to that ball.
Oh my God.
To go to the ground with basically just 4 fingertips on both sides of the ball, and he's holding it. He's got a
And it
defender
never
pushing on him.
moved.
Nope.
Never moved, and he almost looked shocked as he's laying on his back on the ground that stayed in his hands. But that ball came out. It couldn't have been a full second in TJ Latif's hands.
Mm-hmm.
It was like he couldn't. He caught it and stood up and had it flung out of his hand before it even, like, people were like, he threw a duck to him. I can't believe he caught it. I'm like, yeah, but did you see, like, he didn't even set the ball in his
It was
hand.
a hot potato pass.
However he got it, he threw it. It was,
Also, I'm almost shocked that Barney didn't pop that ball with how tight he was grabbing it.
Yeah.
On that.
oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it was very clear the game plan was set up for TJ to feel comfortable. And I feel like, they talk about how they always script the first drive of the first half and the second half. That game almost felt like, with the exception of maybe one drive, that the whole damn thing was scripted.
Yeah. I mean,
He was comfortable the whole time.
it was a very efficient game. Again,
Yes.
Another first since whatever. The first time since 2021 against Northwestern, we scored on our first 4 drives. Scored a touchdown on our first 4 drives. Now, granted, I know we had to kneel down, but that's not a real
We scored
drive.
on every drive in that Northwestern game, didn't we?
Basically,
Wasn't
yeah.
that the 54 to nothing? Or
I think we scored
7?
I think we scored a touchdown in our first 5 drives, actually, and then we gave it up on downs in the 6th drive. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Otherwise, yes.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. One of the wildest stats to me that I couldn't believe the next day when I was looking at it, and I'm like, okay, there's going to be a stats correction, because I was looking at ESPN app, and then I had to go check someplace else. 30 minutes and 30 minutes on time
Yeah.
possession.
Exactly
That-
30 minutes. Not 30:01.
Yeah, not 1 second one way or the other. Like, how the hell did we pull this off? I don't think I've ever seen that in a game.
Yeah.
That was absolutely crazy. I've seen close, but that's wild.
A lot of this stuff was very close in the game. First downs, there were only 1 first down apart. Total yards, they were only off by, what is that,
13 yards.
Yeah, and
1 yard in rushing,
1 yard in pass,
12
Sorry.
yards in passing.
12 yards of passing.
Yeah.
It's just very similar game altogether, and that's why we kind of let him back in at the end of the game. I don't like that, but
I was
close it out.
never worried that even when it became a set, I was like, yeah, nothing in that game. Yeah, Iamaliava was a little slippery and all that stuff, but even when they would get, it took them 17 plays to score. Sometimes, on that one drive.
Yeah.
So it's like
They hit 2 15-plus drive plays.
Yeah,
Or
I
15
mean,
plus
yeah.
play drives.
I really wasn't worried when they scored 7, or when it was a 7-point game. I saw a bunch of people on Twitter, which I know is a terrible place to go, but especially
terrible
for
place to go
especially for
anytime.
places like this, or for
Yeah.
things like this. They're like, oh, typical Nebraska giving it away in the third quarter. It's like, oh, you mean the one where it was 7-7 as far as third quarter score, and we're still winning and playing really well, and like,
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
okay, whatever.
It never felt like we were losing control of the game.
No,
well, and when they didn't onside it to give us the ball back that last time, I kind of felt like it was over because they had no game plan for Emmett Johnson.
Yeah, Emmett was doing pretty much whatever he wanted to in the game. And I thought it was pretty obvious that the game plan was feed Emmett in both the pass game and the run game. That was pretty obvious to me.
100%.
On the first play of the game, the what looked like an option for him to either stick it in Emmett's stomach or take it and run, I felt like that was called for him to do that the entire way so that they could just prove, hey, by the way, we've got a guy who can rip off 13 yards here in a real quick hurry. You better pay attention. And it really felt like that set the tone for at least the entire first half.
Absolutely. That was the one play, the very first play of the game goes 14 yards.
Yeah.
And you think, here we go. But realistically, though, he only ran the ball 4 more times the entire rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't need to, but I'm just simply saying, like,
The threat was there.
yeah.
The threat was there.
Yeah.
An interesting comment that I had about TJ Latif, and I think it's obvious we need to get into this, is, he had a great game. I think there's a lot of people with you're gonna have an overreaction in a game like that, whether it's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have an overreaction one way or the other, and everybody and their mom that's been calling for Dylan to get benched for TJ Lateef since like the 3rd or 4th week of the season came crawling out of the woodworks. And the one comment
I told you so. I've been telling you all year.
The one comment that it really stuck with me was, is there anything that you saw tonight that makes you believe that he can't do anything that Dylan does? My instant reaction was, well, not that I saw tonight, no, but also like rewatching it and looking back through just the game plan in general. They only asked him to do like 5% of what Dylan normally does anyway.
He's still on the season, has only thrown the ball downfield 9 times. Beyond 10 yards, 9 times. Beyond 20 yards, 3 times. And he only completed 1 of them.
Yeah.
So, yay, celebrate, applaud TJ Lateef for what he did in this game. But
yeah, let's not get upset about the fact that we have 2 good quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But it's not the same
100%.
thing. And maybe if he played the full season, we'd have a lot more to look at on him, but he didn't because Dylan Raiola is better than him. That's why he was starting.
And maybe if he plays against a good defense for once this year.
That's the one thing we have to remember.
Which he will in the next 2 games.
Yes.
2
top-tier defenses in the Big Ten.
After that, then come and talk to me. But before that, you don't need to be, some dickbag that likes to call into some of these sports talk radio shows on 1620, for instance, that typically you call in and all you do is hump Creighton all over the place, and then suddenly you think that you're a football guy, and you have to literally call every goddamn show for 3 straight days to say, see, I was right. Okay,
well, hey,
cool.
Hey,
go watch your stupid Creighton game. Go away.
Dickbags. I hope you're right. I honestly hope that he's a phenomenal quarterback all around, and we have 2 fantastic options once Dylan's healthy.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm rooting for all the dickbags right now.
All the dickbags. Getting back to more of the trench play stuff, though, very, very complete game from the offensive line. Again, we'll touch on the fact that it's a 120-plus ranked defense overall.
Yeah.
So it's nothing special to look at, but that was a very cohesive-looking unit. Corcoran starting at the right tackle looked like a good starting right tackle for the game.
You okay saying that?
Yeah, I'm fine saying that. He's also playing right this year, which I think is a much more natural position for him to play than trying to play left like he was for the previous 2 seasons. But on the defensive side in the trenches, I mean, we saw Keona Davis in back-to-back games put together good performances. Winery looked like maybe there was like a nagging injury or something that's all of a sudden been healed, and now for the last 2 games, he's kind of back to looking like he was for the first few games of the year. There's
Riley Van Poppel showed up for a game.
RVP in the house. He was doing stuff. You saw, I mentioned it right before the show. One of the surprising guys for me, Gabe Moore. He wasn't in there a ton, but he was kind of wrecking shop in the middle there for a little bit.
He got the most out of his 16 snaps.
Yes.
Yeah.
It looked really good. Judy, I think he's still he's kind of been our steady Eddie. He's not phenomenal, but he's, with the exception of 1 game this year, he's probably been our most steady defensive lineman. Wouldn't you guys say?
Yeah, for the most part. It's hard to look week to week when so many things are shifting around on him. But
yeah, he probably is. I mean, he also is kind of a guy that disappears, but sometimes that's not necessarily in a bad way. I mean, shouted out Riley Van Poppel for this game. He only technically had 2 tackles in this game. So you think, he had but he was everywhere.
He was disruptive.
Exactly. So
also, we've been using his name a lot negatively this year. So sometimes when you're not talking about a dude, it's because he's doing his job.
Yep. Yeah. The one guy that I feel like if he had been in there, we probably had at least 2 more sacks.
Deshaun.
And Deshaun McCullough. If he had been there, he's also more, in my opinion, he's more of that athletic neutralizer for what Iamaleava was doing.
Yeah.
But speaking of Iamaleava, which one of the probably at least 30 iterations of Iamaleava did you hear during the TV broadcast that you loved the most? Those guys were awful.
Thankfully, during I was at the bar watching the game, and they did have the sound on. But then halfway through, some people wanted to start their karaoke, and I said, "That's fine. I don't technically care to listen to the games anyway. I'd rather just watch them." So I I was like, no big deal. Don't worry about it. And so I missed the vast majority of those. And then even when I'm rewatching the game, I'm trying to do the Big 10 and 60. So that's, I caught a couple of them, but sometimes they click right to the next play and stuff like that. So I didn't hear most of them. I just heard about most of them. It was bad. God, it was rough. So bad.
Like Mommy Yellen was in there a couple times. It was
Yeah.
Player of the game on the defensive side of the ball. Who you guys got?
I'll let Jed go first.
I honestly would probably say Riley Van Poppel because of how disruptive he was.
Really?
Yeah, I really like how he played.
I was going to say Keona Davis for the exact same thing.
Keona Davis is right there.
Keona was mine because I even texted you guys during the game. I was like, he's having a hell of a first half.
Yep. Yeah.
He was throwing dudes around. He clotheslined a couple of guys.
He batted the ball down.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't think I noticed him quite as much in the USC game. But after Rhule made that comment about him having back-to-back weeks, I went back and looked at it. I was like, oh, damn, he really did.
Yeah.
And he's putting together some highlight plays.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of scary when you look at him and Winery and think about the fact that they're a sophomore / redshirt freshman. Yeah. Like, we got those dudes for a hot minute as long as we can keep them.
Thank you.
Which apparently now the Brinks truck has been backed up and dumped.
Sounds like
in Memorial Stadium, according to Matt Rhule today.
I mean, we'll find out, but yeah,
he is kind of waist deep in recruiting a few players right now. So he might have been talking to them a little bit when he said that.
Well, he might have also been talking to the players that are in his locker room, like, you can stay here because we got the money to let you stay.
Right. I think he was talking to a lot of people because as we've touched on this program before, the recruiting class, the high school recruiting class for 26 is small, and that's for good reason.
Yeah.
They need some upperclassmen to come in, some bigger bodies, and that's all by design right now.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of seniors. This is a really young team.
There's 19 total seniors on the on
there's
the
not
team.
A lot of people leaving. I mean, forcibly leaving, I guess, due to graduation. Obviously, there will be people transferring, but that's life.
I'm very interested to see what it's going to look like. More from a Pat Stewart taking over doing GM type stuff this last month or so of the season and seeing who is obviously on their way out and who is not.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be an interesting one.
Yep.
Anything else do we have to say an offensive player of the game? Because it was Emmett Johnson.
Yeah, it was.
No, it was actually Emmett Johnson was number 1, and then Emmett Johnson was actually number 2.
Oh, he was both?
As a running
receiver,
as a
best running back.
Yeah, and then as a receiver.
He actually had a couple of good blocks in there.
If only he had thrown the ball.
Yeah, no shit.
That would have been the way to really top off his day. If he'd go complete a fake or some sort of a reverse end around, throw it back to Latif for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been the Philly special. That would have been fun. Also, kudos to him on Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week. He's a Doak Award finalist officially or semifinalist officially.
I didn't see the Doak one. I saw the Maxwell one. I didn't see.
Maybe that's the one. Maybe that's the one I
whatever.
saw.
I mean, he will be. He will be. So whatever.
National Player of the Week in all of college football. The guy was collecting all the accolades this weekend for good reason.
Highly deserved.
As you should have.
Highly deserved. The Heisman talk. I like the fact that we're putting on a campaign. My brain goes, if Ashton Jeanty couldn't win it with what he did last year, how the hell are we even talking about this? But
So I mean, it's great. I'm not trying to say, but
no, there's nothing bad about it.
No, absolutely not.
This is not a negative whatsoever.
Taking Ashton Jeanty off the board because what he did was a historic season last year.
But if you put him in this season, he'd win it.
Oh yeah. If you have him in pretty much every other season without a transcendent player like Travis Hunter, he wins it. But I looked at the last four.
Which RIP to his season today.
Oh, is he out?
Yeah.
Oh.
He broke something.
LCL.
Yeah.
Ew, that's not
LCL out for the season.
I looked at the last 4 years of the Heisman Trophy finalists, the players that got votes, and there was 8 different players, again, getting rid of Ashton Jeanty, running backs that finished in the top 10. And so I looked at how many yards they had previous to their bowl games, because obviously that's when the award gets sent out and whatever else. So, for instance, like Emmett Johnson has 1,400 yards right now with 14 touchdowns. Cam Scatabo last year finished 5th with 2,200 yards and 20. And this is total yards. This is total yards. So rushing and receiving. Ollie Gordon in 2023 finished 7th. He had 1,900 yards, 21 touchdowns. Cody Schrader, 2023, finished 8th. Blake Corum finished 9th. They had 1,700 yards and 1,100 yards. Blake Corum again in 2022 finished 7th. He had 1,500 yards.
Fuck you, Jed, for bringing all this up here.
Bijan Robinson finished 9th in 2022 with 1,800 yards. You know, so it's really hard in nowadays. With,
I mean, if he racks up another couple,
he's going to have another two huge games.
Which is going to be really tough against the two, probably second and third toughest defenses we played this year.
I mean, like, so could he finish in the top 10? Yes. Is he going to get invited to New York? Not unless he has 2 monster games.
4 touchdowns in each game and goes for 200 plus in each game.
Yeah.
Are those totals including a bowl game or not?
I took the bowl game totals
regular
out.
season? Okay.
Yeah.
2,200 yards by Scatterby last year. Yeah. I did not realize that. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
You know,
I didn't realize they had that many walls for him to run through down there.
He's again, Emmett Johnson already right now is above Blake Corum, who finished 9th in 2023. He had 1,100 yards. And he's basically at where Blake Corum was in 2022, finishing 7th with 1,500 yards. So
definitely not impossible.
Could he catch some of these guys that had 1,700 yards? Absolutely. He can get 300 yards in the last 2 games. He's averaging 143 a game anyway.
Yeah.
But, you know, Rhule, I know he's hyping up his guy. He made a comment in the press conference yesterday about how he should be in New York for the Heisman. It's like, okay, I get it, but he ain't getting to New York.
Yeah.
Again, not without like 250 rushing yards in one game and, you know, things like that.
Also, some of those votes and considerations also come from the fact that your team is winning a bunch.
Yeah.
Even if we win out, it's still only 9 wins.
Yeah.
If we had won the USC game, this would have a different charge to it this week.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Because you did see a couple national guys before Rhule started campaigning for it. A couple national guys latch onto him for their player of the week and stuff like that, or offensive player of the week. I saw it on an On3 graphic, things like that. So,
well, and also like, you know, it shouldn't be this way with what I'm about to say, but it's kind of late in the game to give him a Heisman push. Like,
you're not wrong.
That's just the way it is. Should it be that way? Absolutely not. Because you should just take the players at the end of the season and figure it out that way. But that's just the name of the game nowadays.
It's better than getting up early and then falling off.
Yeah.
I mean, they still only do their voting at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So if you're going to make a push for it, now is actually the time.
Yeah.
Jaden Mayava had like the 5th best odds back in like week 4 or 5.
Yeah. Oh, so did Arch Manning, who was like number 1 at the beginning.
Preseason. He was the preseason Heisman favorite.
Arch Manning got 80% of that just with his last name.
Yeah.
So
I am interested to hear what Matt has to say about chicken.
Do you like chicken? Do you like the world's best chicken? I happen to love chicken, and I'm here to tell you, Trax Lounge in Omaha has the world's best chicken, and that's a scientific fact. Actually, ever since 1965, Trax has been proudly serving the world's best chicken right here in Omaha at their original location just north of Center on 1506 South 60th Street. But honestly, their chicken is so good, they've officially flown the coop and opened a second brand new location out in West Omaha on 18111 Q Street. Do you like your taste buds? You want to treat them right? Get over to Trax today and get some of the world's best chicken. If you really like your taste buds, get the hot buffalo mixed with garlic parm.
Let's get into the fantasy.
That's why we shouldn't take breaks in the middle of the show.
No kidding. Jesus Christ.
All right. Also, we should just skip this segment because I don't want to talk about how good of a week BJ had. BJ ended up with a 363.3 points this week. He kind of laid a fat one out there. To be fair, though, the whole team had a pretty good week.
Yes.
Yeah.
The top 10 players for the team were within 7 points of each other.
All of us were well over 300 points.
Yes.
Yeah.
I ended up with 323, and Jed, you had 338. So, I mean, good weeks all around. Weeks that would have won
most every other week.
Yeah. It's one of those things where the whole team played pretty well.
Yep.
We don't even really need to go through a bunch of top performers. I mean, Riley Van Poppel was the number 1 player. But like I mentioned, you get down, the number 10 player was 7 points behind him in Dinky. So overall, really good stuff. I will say it's going to kind of come down neck and neck these last 2 weeks of the year on who comes away with the most wins. BJ, you're looking pretty set for the most points on the year. But I'm still ahead of you by 1 on the win chart. So I have 5, you have 4, and Jed is sitting down there with the loneliest number.
I have the second most points, but only 1 win.
Anyone who ever plays any type of fantasy, whether it's football, basketball, baseball,
All about the
knows the person that usually scores the most points
is
does
not going to
win the game. At least not at the end of the season.
Yeah, just ask Justin Bottom.
Shout out Justin Bottom if you're listening, man. You won a couple, but you've probably finished first in points more times than you've even made the playoffs.
I would say I would give Jed some shit. Both players that he benched this week were actually on the top 10 list.
Oh boy.
But it wouldn't have mattered because of how you graded out on a couple of yours. So
yeah.
Overall, good stuff all around. It's going to come down to hopefully me winning at least 1 more game to finish the season out. Or if Jed wants to win one and then we'd end up tying, that'd be fun
We
too.
still got the
There we
bowl
go.
game too, so you still got 3 games.
That's too many games.
That's fair. That's fair. I like it. It'll be interesting to see how many of our players don't play in that bowl game.
I bet it isn't very
But the
many. They're
transfer
all
portal
pretty
doesn't
young.
open until after the bowl games now, so
You're not wrong about that.
who knows?
But if Emmett Johnson's heading off to the NFL draft,
Yeah.
you're going to be missing that one.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough. Also, that just not to go back into the Emmett stuff, I do
I'll talk
personally
about him
think
all night. Keep going.
Yeah, that's fine.
in Rhule's press conference, he sounded like he gave almost, it was a different answer than he's given for other guys that he expects to go to the NFL. It was almost a halfway sideways plea of you could stay and run it back one. We're going to be able to pay you probably more money than you're going to make on your first year as a rookie.
He won't make more money in here for 1 year. No, he'll make more money in the NFL.
Oh, I'm saying if he goes, especially if he's a day 3 guy,
He still will make more money. He's not going to get $1 million here.
I bet he would.
Barely. He'll get over $1 million next year in the
As a
NFL.
day 3 running back?
Yeah.
I thought they were in the 700s.
Nope.
Oh, well, look at that.
Like Scadaboo was a 4th round guy, and he's making like $2 million this year with the signing bonus. So,
Wow. Well, okay then.
And that's with only playing half the games.
I personally think EJ should go to the NFL.
Yeah.
If he's got an opportunity
Yes.
to be drafted, I think he should go because the likelihood of him getting to replicate that season, they're not going to be able to hammer him with all these carries and touches like they have this year and back-to-back years.
Yep.
Not built like that.
Well, and as a running back, you want to start your clock as quickly as possible.
Yes.
The one thing that I saw in this game for the first time ever was a mid-run burst from him to get away from people. That is a new function in his game. He finally found the X button.
Yep.
Mhm.
That was different. Twice along the sideline down there.
Yep.
That was pretty wild. But enough of that. We're gonna wrap this up. We should all say a quick sorry and prayer for Julie because she did miss the questions. So everyone beat Julie this week. Julie, don't let it happen again.
To be fair, she didn't get any wrong.
And she also talked shit on me. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'll just say I don't accept your apology for not putting picks in, but you do you. You do
Yeah,
you.
in the same
Sad
way that
trombone.
we didn't accept the output from the Minnesota game, so why would we accept that?
Yeah.
Come on.
All right. Question number 1. TJ Lateef throws beyond 10 yards in the air, 8.5. He only had 4. I mean, he only threw the ball 15 times. So the chances of him getting over that one is slim. BJ, you were the only one dumb enough to take the over on that one. Emmett Johnson rushing yards, 134.5. He had 129. BJ, you were the only one to take the over on that one.
wow, this is starting off hot.
Sacks allowed by Nebraska, 1.5. They had 0. So they're getting really a lot better at that. And I mean, some people can say, well, it's because they had the mobile quarterback. Well, we've only given up 2 sacks in the last 3 games. So maybe it's not just because of the mobile quarterback, but whatever. The fans were the only ones dumb enough to take the over on that one. Who will have more tackles, John Vaughns for UCLA or Javin Wright? They tied at 9, so that was a push. Nobody took the push option on that one. UCLA runs of 10-plus yards, 5.5. They had 7, which giving up 17 of those in the last 2 games is not good. I was the only one dumb enough to take the under on that one. Who will have more total yards, Nico or TJ? Nico had 277, TJ had 236. So Nico got that one. The fans were the only ones to take Nico.
Look at you, fans.
Wow.
No faith.
Yeah.
I really was actually kind of shocked to see how many yards he passed for when the game ended. I didn't feel like in game that he had thrown for that many yards.
Well, it helps when you have that one long touchdown pass.
Yeah.
You know, kind of.
Also, like we talked about earlier, he bought himself a lot of time.
Yeah. Tons and tons of time.
Starting field position at plus 4.5 for Nebraska. We were plus 12. Average starting field position was 33 or 31, and UCLA was at the 19.
That's solid.
Yeah, that's really
And
good.
somehow PFF had our special teams grade as awful.
Yeah.
See, I knew you leading the PFF stuff was kind of BS. So
Everybody took the over on that one, so we all got that one right. Field goals made by Nebraska, 1.5, 0. BJ and the fans took the under on that one. Totals, BJ and Matt, you both went 6 and 4. I went 5 and 5. As far as just the questions, the fans went 6 and 2.
Wow.
As far as the people on YouTube, Hunter is a back-to-back winner. He went
What up, Hunter? That's 2 beers, bro.
he went 7 and 1 last week. He went 6 and 2 this week. Fireball, Scott Gurton, and Peterbilt lost. They only had 2 correct out of the 8.
Come on, Scott. You got to be better.
But you all still beat Julie, so don't worry about it.
She was de facto loser of the week. That's what happens when you don't get your picks in, Jules.
Yep.
We love you guys. We appreciate you. Please, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, share us on your socials, follow, hit the notification bell. We'll catch you back here for a special episode next week with Mr. Elijah Herbal from the Average Joe Sports Show. And we'll be previewing and kicking off and talking about some wild stuff for Penn State.
And this may be the most unbelievable night in Cornhusker football history.